How's it going, guys? Adam here from AtoZbodyfitness, and today we're going to go over on how you can get a smaller waist. So there's a few things that you can do in order to help you get a smaller waist, and there's also a few things that you can do to make it look like and perceive that you actually have a smaller waist as well. But before we begin to that, the first thing that you have to understand is, again, it comes down to your calorie consumption. I know I said this in a lot of my videos with a lot of other things that I've been talking about, but what you take in your body is going to have a huge effect on anything pretty much that you do when it comes to fitness, and especially when it comes to your waist size. If you have too many calories and you consume too many calories, obviously your waist is going to grow larger. It's going to get bigger. You're going to put on more fat. You're going to put on more weight. So in order for you to have a smaller waist and to allow it to appear that you have a smaller waist, so that you can actually start to see the striations in your lower abdomen, or any part of your abdomen for that matter, or even your obliques for when you're working them out and when you're actually doing your exercises, that you actually have to eat less calories. So first thing is, eat less calories, make sure you're consuming less. The second thing that you can do to help you look like you have a smaller waist, so from a bodybuilding aspect, when bodybuilders go in and they work out, they're looking to basically obviously grow their muscles as large as possible, depending on what category you're in, but you're looking to essentially grow your muscles by form of going into the gym, lifting the weight, creating hypertrophy, and it's essentially getting it to grow over time by tearing the fibers, right? And one of the things that you want to achieve is to have a smaller waist. Unfortunately, genetically speaking, some people, they don't have that disposition. Some people were, once they shred down and they get to their peak performance, or they get to a lower body fat percentage, they essentially will have a smaller waist. They will look more shredded, look more better. Other people can still get shredded, but their waists genetically are going to be larger. It's just the way it is. Even if you have, let's say, two people, one guy with a larger waist, another guy with a smaller waist, they're still going to look good. If they're still shredded, you can see their striations, you see their abdominals popping out, their obliques are there. They're still going to look great. But if one guy has a smaller waist versus the other guy, he's obviously going to be the one that more people want to attain to. But you have to understand, when it comes to genetics, sometimes you can only get your waist slimmed down to a certain point. Now, with that being said, what some bodybuilders do when they go up on stage, or when they're going to prep for a competition and they have to have everything looking as sleek and as nice as possible, they actually broaden their shoulders. So they work on their shoulders more and they work on their lats, right? To allow them to look like they have a smaller waist. This is what some people do to allow them to give that frame that their waist is actually smaller. And it actually does work. If you compare two pictures of the same person, one between let's say even 6 month or a year period, you'll notice that their waist will appear to look smaller, even though it hasn't technically shrunk, because to a certain point it actually gets down to your genetics and you can't break it down anymore. But because their shoulders and their lats have essentially grown and they've put a little bit more size to those areas, they have made it appear that their waist is a bit smaller. So that's one other thing that you can do. And again, I'm not talking about like making your shoulders mass and thick and everything like that. You don't have to do that. You just have to work out normally, build muscle the right way, create mind-to-muscle connection, make sure you're tearing your fibers, and those areas will grow over time. Another thing you want to do in order to help you get a slimmer waist is obviously certain exercises, right? So you want to make sure that you're hitting your hip flexors area and your lower abdominals the most, because that's going to allow it to essentially build muscle around that area, and it's going to give it more of a lean appearance, right? So exercises you want to focus on is more towards twisting. So like Russian twists are good, standing twists are good, doing any form of leg raises are good because it hits the lower abdominal, kickouts are good. Those types of movements, those types of abdominal workouts are going to help build that lower area, and it's going to help it give it more of a lean look. But again, that won't show unless your calorie intake is lower and your body fat percentage is lower, right? You need, everything comes back down to the calories. You need to make sure that you're intaking the right amount of calories per week, per day and per week, and you're not overextending and over surplusing in your caloric intake, because if you're doing that, you're obviously not going to have a thin waist. There's going to be a lot of fat put around that area, and it's just going to give it an appearance that you have a larger stomach. So that's one thing that you want to, again, make sure that you don't do. And then one more tip that I can give you guys that will help in the process of you getting and having a nice lean looking midsection is practice vacuuming. This isn't going to have any effect of breaking down any body fat in that area. You guys may have seen this before of other people talking about it online on what vacuuming does. It's very good for a number of things. One thing is it helps you to regulate and control your breathing. Another thing is that it also allows you to control the movement of your abdominal, so that when you're actually doing an abdominal exercise, you will have a better contraction and a better mind to muscle connection when doing it. So it doesn't actually, it's not going to target fat, it's not going to break down fat in the area, because you cannot target an area and break down fat. It doesn't work that way. But it's more for the fact of that it's going to allow you to be able to control your breathing and to control that your midsection area, especially that lower abdominal area, so that when you do the exercises that I mentioned in the previous tip, you're going to get a better contraction over it. And when you have a lower body fat percentage and you're eating less calories, it's going to allow you to build that lean tissue even more to give you a more sleek and thinner midsection. All right, guys, I hope you liked this video that you saw. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next video.